So there's so many red flags that people may start to see if this is a true mastermind plan. Or this could be a real life gone girl.
A mysterious disappearance that sounds like a scene out of a movie when a recent college graduate vanishes just moments before she's set to board a plane for a family trip. And she's caught on surveillance video too, leaving all her luggage and her phone behind.
It's hard to say she was not doing this at her own will. Your phone tracks every single step you take. So if you're with it, it's really hard to ever be untraceable. But to leave it behind and just be, it's almost like reinventing yourself, someone brand new.
The case takes yet another turn when it's revealed that the missing woman's fiancé has also disappeared, along with his 2-year-old daughter.
The timing is just, it's too coincidental, like just a little bit too perfect for the timing of everything.
Now, the case is being investigated by both local and federal authorities, working to track down all 3 missing people.
I think the phone truly will have the truth on what's going on inside her mind with this.
This is 21-year-old Nadia Cole. She just graduated from Washington State University and was set to celebrate with her family with a vacation to Italy. On May 29th, Nadia and her family successfully checked in at the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport and were waiting to board their flight. Just before boarding, Nadia asked her mom to watch her belongings as she went to the bathroom. She walked away, leaving behind both her luggage and her cell phone. She hasn't been seen since.
So my initial thought was this was well thought out. To leave your phone behind changes the picture than if you walked away with your phone completely.
That's forensic expert Heather Mahalik Barnhart. She's the Senior Director of Community Engagement at Celebrite, a company that specializes in digital forensics, extraction, and analysis. She's got an extensive background when it comes to digital forensics, and she says that's just what will play a major role in this case.
Her device should show the truth of all the things that are happening.
And it's the circumstances of the disappearance that make it all the more suspicious. Nadia is supposed to be going on this Italian vacation with her family and does what we all do, where we say, hey, I gotta run to the bathroom. Can I leave my luggage with you, Mom? Sure, Mom watches it, but leaves her phone and luggage behind and then completely disappears. So it sounds like to me this could be something that she planned to leave her phone behind because it would be easy to track.
Absolutely. Your phone tracks every single step you take. So if you're with it, it's really hard to ever be untraceable. But to leave it behind and just be, it's almost like reinventing yourself, someone brand new.
Nadia may have left behind her phone, but she was caught on surveillance video leaving the airport. Multiple images show her boarding the light rail train at about 3 p.m. on May 29th. Nadia's family says she got off the train in downtown Seattle and started walking toward the water. Investigators say it doesn't appear that Nadia was being forced to leave.
The camera footage showed she was all alone, so it's not like she had an earpiece or headphones or someone saying, go here. Without the phone, it's hard to say she was not doing this at her own will.
After her disappearance, Nadia's family released a statement reading in part, quote, Nadia is cherished by hundreds of people who know her, and the circumstances surrounding her disappearance are entirely out of character for her. We are utterly devastated by her disappearance and are fervently praying for her safe return. Any piece of information, no matter how insignificant it may seem, could be crucial in bringing Nadia back to us. What's interesting about this is that her family says it's completely out of character for her just to disappear, especially as they were going on this family vacation. What do you think, that she disappeared on her own accord or that she was coerced in some way?
I think the phone will tell the truth. So we can sit here and guess, but if we look in it, we should be able to see who she was talking to, all of the chats, if there were any other planning, possibly meetup points. I think the phone truly will have the truth on what's going on inside her mind.
Even though Nadia left her phone behind, Heather says investigators will look through it for clues about her disappearance.
I think the first thing is to look at her phone and see who she was talking to most frequently, the last communication she had, because what if she was being threatened? So we could see in the device the last message that said, go to the restroom right now, leave your phone behind or else. So any threats to her, or this could be a real life gone girl.
Heather's referring to the book-turned-movie Gone Girl, in which the main character purposely disappears and goes to great lengths to change her identity. Could it be something that was masterfully planned?
Absolutely. The timing is just, it's too coincidental, like just a little bit too perfect for the timing of everything.
That coincidental timing includes not only Nadia's disappearance, but the disappearance of her fiancé and his daughter. 21-year-old Aaron Ong was last seen on May 29th, the same day Nadia was last seen. At the time, Aaron was picking up his 2-year-old daughter, Soraya Ong Harmon. He was supposed to have custody of Soraya for a few days and return the girl to her mother on June 3rd. Aaron apparently told Soraya's mom they were going on a fishing trip to Montana, but investigators say there's no evidence they ever made it to Montana. Aaron is based out of Moscow, Idaho, but his daughter lives in nearby Pullman, Washington, the same city as Washington State University, Nadia's now alma mater. Investigators say Nadia could be traveling with Aaron and his daughter. What do you think the motivation would be in a case like this?
Probably a fresh start, fresh family, fresh start, and just doing things in the wrong manner.
An Amber Alert was not issued in the disappearance of 2-year-old Soraya because investigators say she's probably not in imminent danger. They believe Aaron doesn't have intentions to hurt his daughter, but rather to keep her away from her mother, Samara Harmon. A warrant has since been issued for his arrest for custodial interference in the first degree.
I know the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, a lot of kidnappings are family members or someone and often the children are not harmed. They're just not in the place that they're supposed to be. So hopefully that remains the case and stays true and that they do find the child. But the punishment, stranger or a parent, it definitely doesn't look good for custody going forward.
Soraya's mother made a Facebook post on June 4th about her daughter's disappearance, writing in part, quote, "My daughter is incredibly sick, and if she's not given the proper medical treatment she needs, it could be fatal." Her disappearance is now under investigation by the Pullman Police Department, Moscow Police Department, and the FBI. We have a 2-year-old who's disappeared, and investigators are obviously looking for her, but she wouldn't have a phone. So would investigators be looking at her dad's phone?
Absolutely. Her father's phone. I also assume she's too young for an iPad. And I feel for the mother. First of all, I cannot imagine if that happened to me in that situation. But the father's phone, absolutely. Any CCTV, any cell tower pings. So everyone needs to be hyper vigilant at finding the child. And that's where I think a lot of the focus will go, which may lead also to the missing woman.
How would investigators tap into it and check where it was pinged on, let's say, cell towers or anything? How would they get information from it?
His mobile carrier will be one of the best ways to see which cell towers were touched, but that phone's going to track, say they keep getting different vehicles. Every vehicle that they plug that phone into or connect with Android Auto or CarPlay, it's all traceable. So every single thing that they are doing with these devices should lead investigators down the correct path.
When they're looking through this social media or cloud, the notes that they took in their phone, whatever it is, what sort of things are they looking for?
I would say pattern of behavior. So what is normal based on what her friends and family say, and then what is abnormal. So you really want to find just that little thread that stands out to you that you start pulling and then everything unravels.
Let's pause the story of Nadia Cole for a quick second to thank Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring today's Law and Crime news package. It's stories like this that remind you you never know what's going to happen, and the world is an unpredictable place. So when you're hurt, it can be confusing, it can be scary, and you don't really know where to turn. Well, enter Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. You can submit a claim in 8 clicks or less on your phone and find out if you have a case. And then if you do, your injury could be worth millions. In the past couple of months, they've gotten verdicts of $12 million in Florida, $26 million in Philadelphia, and $6.8 million in New York. Also, they have over 1,000 lawyers, so you know you'll be in good hands. So if you've ever been injured in an accident, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. You can start your claim in 8 clicks or less without having to leave your couch. You can start your claim at www.forthepeople.com/LC News. Now back to our story. But what if all this was part of some master plan to disappear? So let's say they really do want to disappear and they're really kind of keeping all of this in mind. They throw away their phones, they're only paying with
Mhm.
cash, they're, I guess, doctoring their license plates, whatever it may be. How long would
Yeah.
something like this even be sustainable?
That's a tough one. I feel like the latest media comes up and then people are tracing the latest and greatest thing. And it could be a few months down the road, someone says, I recognize that person. I honestly feel like sometimes it's the everyday good Samaritan that will recognize when the case kind of simmers. So as long as everyone stays hyper vigilant and remembers that this is a missing child too, it's not just two missing adults, it's a missing child that needs to be returned home.
Even if Nadia and Aaron leave behind their cell phones, Heather says technology should be able to track them down.
Criminals are getting smarter, and I'm not saying these two are criminals, but if you want to disappear, you can leave your phone. You can put your phone in airplane mode, turn it off, but you can't hide from other people's cameras. And that's a huge thing. Think about right now, if someone drives down my street, they may doing everything perfectly. They may have a brand new car, a new cell phone, new IDs, but the fact that their faces and who the news and the media is looking for, it's on these cameras. And everyone loves to record all the things. You never know who's watching you because it could be your neighbor.
So let's say this was a complete master plan that she leaves behind her cell phone, meets up with her fiance, and they throw away their phone so there's no phones. But again, as you said, we have these ring cameras, CCTV, etc. So is this something that they could even get away with disappearing if they so choose?
It would be tricky. Look at already all the camera footage showing her getting on the train, the light rail, and you never know where there is camera footage. Every store you enter, every gas station you go to, all the license plate readers, they all exist and it's all recording all the actions that we take as humans.
There are also some reports that Nadia was seen in Fife, Washington, about 30 minutes outside of Seattle. Additionally, when we're looking at this just geographically, this is out of Washington or Idaho, which is bordering to Canada. So that gets me
Mhm.
thinking maybe they wanted to head north of the border. Does that make things more complicated if they were to travel into another country?
Absolutely. But I think with the federal government, once they're involved and tracking it, they will work together with the Canadian police forces to make sure that everyone is looking out for this. I know it's not so easy to slip across the border, but I also, part of me wonders because her family was taking an international trip, if she thought maybe they wouldn't report it until they were already on the plane or had landed, which clearly didn't happen.
Investigators have since said they believe the pair traveled south to Mexico rather than Canada. And again, we keep working under the assumption that this is some sort of plan that they came up with together and that they were going to leave because that's kind of what it seems at this point. So, how far in advance do you think that these two people would have to come together and lay out their plans in order to be successful and not caught, so to speak?
To be completely clean, I think it would have had to been planned for a little bit of time, obviously. Like you can't just say leave your phone, and they had to have a meeting point because there's no way to communicate. If she had another cell phone on her, her parents maybe have noticed this going through security because you can't walk through with phones in your pockets. So there's so many red flags that people may start to see if this is a true mastermind plan.
All roads seem to point to that masterful plan that echoes Heather's earlier suggestion. I know that you said Gone Girl ahead of time, so my brain is just running with that because
Yeah.
it is so compelling if somebody decided to do that. So, if these two people are going to assume new identities, let's say, how would they even go about doing that?
I don't have experience with creating new identities, but it's not difficult if you think about it. You can go onto the dark web. There's so many things that you can do to reinvent yourself. And I'm sure there's instructions out there. I'm sure you could use AI on give me a list of things that I need to do to completely reinvent my identity. And that typically will happen. So there's so much available on the internet and all the movies and all the books that we read. I think it gets people's minds moving in a direction that they want it to, and they give it a shot and go for it.
There are still unanswered questions about the case, but that may be by design. So we have a set of facts that we know right now based on when these people were last seen, their ages, descriptions, etc. But is it possible with all of the departments that are investigating, whether it be local or the FBI working together, maybe even international, we spoke of Canada, that they know more information about this investigation than they're letting the media or the public know?
I hope so. And that may not be what anyone in the public wants to hear. But if they say all the tips and the leads that they have, it could make them run in a different direction. So typically, you want to keep some of those things quiet, give just enough information so that the public can help, but not enough that it will make any of the missing people run even deeper or further off.
Moving forward, the investigation once again goes back to digital forensics. And again, they've only been missing for a little while, about a week-ish, let's say, but I'm sure that investigators, as we spoke about, are talking about the phones, the security camera footage, etc. But is there anywhere that you think the investigation is headed from here?
I think the mobile devices would be key. So let's say that investigators get her device and they look at it and they see that she wiped it. That would be a huge mastermind plan. Like, you don't just sit there and wipe your phone and then walk away through the restroom. And that's something you could do so quickly without anyone realizing. But the truth on who she was talking to, anything she was planning, and behavioral analysis of that device, I think would bring so much clarity on the mindset of the person you're trying to find.
And if we're looking at the specifics into her phone, would that include the iCloud, her social media, even photos that she could have taken?
100%. The cloud aspect that you just brought up. So let's say she did wipe her phone. Let's say this has been a huge mastermind plan. And the plan was to go to the airport. Hopefully, your parents get on a flight. They end up in Italy. They don't report it until they're there. And then it's just kind of overlooked and it gives them more time. Had she wiped her device, Google and iCloud will have so much information on places she's been, people she was talking to, even possible backups of social media, photos. So that could tell a lot of truth as well.
Anyone with more information about Nadia's disappearance is asked to contact the Port of Seattle Police Department. Those with information about Soraya and Aaron's disappearances are asked to contact the Pullman or Moscow police. Reporting for Law&Crime, I'm Gillespie.